Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Ace Podcast Nation, back here at A.C.E Media for another episode of my story, and I'm delighted to welcome Boom Boom,
Brandon Scott,
the baddest nerd.
It's the baddest nerd on the planet.
There you go.
The baddest man on the planet was already taken by Mike Tyson, wasn't it? And I'm not going to try and compare myself to Mike Tyson, but you know what? No one's ever done the baddest nerd. I'm the baddest nerd on the planet.
People love it, don't they?
Yeah.
It's funny, right? Because like a lot of fighters which I speak to loads of guys from MMA and boxing and that, and either in here or like online and that, and some of them take themselves really seriously, which is fine, and that I get it, especially when you're fighting for your health, for your career, for whatever. Like, but what I like about you, from what I've seen of you in previous like interviews and the build-ups to your fight and that, is you like having a laugh.
I don't like to take life too seriously. You know, I don't know if you know the story of me why I started boxing, but all my life I've had people laughing at me, so I'm used to it. I'm conditioned to it right now. So you know, all I want to do is I want to put a smile on people's faces. You know, like even I don't know if you've seen my last fight when I did the front flip over the rope and I nearly ballsed it up. It was like, yes, people were laughing at me, and granted, if I mess up, I'll be the first to laugh at myself too. But I'm just here to put a smile on people's faces. I'm not taking life too seriously.
The thing is, you're only here once, mate, and it's got to enjoy it, innit?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think, like you mentioned, why you started boxing. That's a good place to start, I think. But before we jump in, come in a bit closer, mate. Just so you're in the frame a bit.
Can't have the camera all Simon, though, can we?
Just have like half you in there. So yeah, like you just mentioned, why you started boxing. Like, tell us a bit about them early days when you were like really young. What was you into as a kid before you found boxing?
Well, before I found boxing, I used to play football. I used to be a goalkeeper, and I was actually quite good. I was in Cardiff Academy.
Yeah.
So I played for Cardiff Academy, but I could give you some reason, like, I just fell out of love with that. I used to struggle to wake up early in the morning. So the games were like 9 o'clock in the morning. So I'd show up at like 10 o'clock, half time. Yeah, I'd show up at half time, halfway through a football game. I'd be like, oh, boys, what's to school? And they'd be like, Brandon, where have you been? So, you know, I was good at football, but you know, they say love at first sight. This was the same thing with boxing. You know, the second I started boxing, I was like, this is what I want to do. But I was big into football and eating food.
Yeah. So like, I seen a thing in on Wales Online. I don't know, I can't remember if it was an interview with you or if it was like a write-up about you, just saying like you were quite a big boy like when you were kids and that, and you big kids used to take a piss and that. Like, what was that like? Because I've done like quite a few shows on like mental health and different mental health conditions and all these different things, and it's kind of quite interesting to see how people come through these things and develop it, because it's not easy, is it? Like when you're a kid. I got 3 teenage boys, see, and like I find it hard as a father when they've had different things, whether it's fights or kids picking on them and stuff like that. Like my older boy's got ADHD, and in the first sort of couple of years of high school, he had a brutal time, like with kids giving him grief. Like, how do you look back on that time?
Well, it's hard because I can look at it in two ways. I look back at it and it was obviously a bad time in my life, but at the same time it was the best time in my life because it made me who I am now. And like I said, I wasn't just a little bit big. I had to go to the hospital, and the doctor had to tell me I was extremely obese. He said an actual was, hearing it from kids was one thing. You know, kids can be horrible. Obviously, you know, bullying's bullying. Yeah. But when you hear it coming from a medical professional, it hits home a bit more because it's like, right, this guy's not saying it to make fun of me. This guy's he's warning me, and he knew what he was talking about. So that's what struck home for me the most. But I don't know if you know this or knew, but I got Tourette's syndrome as well. So I was a small, fat, shy kid with Tourette's syndrome. I was easy pickings for people like that. But I truly do believe that bullying was the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because it gave me two options. Bullying is obviously horrible, and the way everyone's going now, it's like they want to stop bullying, but you're never going to stop bullying. No. I think you have to do something about it, and I don't mean beat people up. I don't mean, become an asshole. I mean, you have a choice to change your life. And yeah, people were calling me fat, people were calling me this, people were calling me that, but I looked at myself and I said, right, Brand, they are bullying you, they're calling you fat, but you are fat. I thought, you know, I was honest with myself. I wasn't being mean. I was being brutally honest with myself. So I said, you know what, you got to do something about it, and I did. So I truly, if I could go back and change something, I wouldn't change anything, because bullying made me who I am today.
Yeah, and I think like high school's brutal, isn't it? Like kids, teenage kids are brutal. Like, and there's always someone or a few people within a class a year who kind of become the targets, and then it is very difficult. And I kind of agree with you in terms of you're never going to stop bullying, particularly in high school. You're just not going to, because you've got different types of groups of people who are into different things. They're always going to clash and stuff like that anyway. But what you should do, in my opinion, is you try and help people to deal with it better. Yeah. And like, as a very extreme example, like you see a lot of shootings in schools in America. Like, so to me, on the sort of lower side of that in this country, if you've got kids who are being bullied, teach them how to deal with it without resorting to aggression. In school, whether that is like a sport like boxing or MMA or a martial arts, something which teaches a bit of discipline, but also like a bit of self-defense and fitness and stuff like that. There's loads of different ways to do it, but I think it's preparing kids a bit better. I think sometimes kids just get chucked in high school and they think it's going to be all fun and games like it was.
You go from, you know, like I've noticed you call it high school. From Swansea, we don't call it high school. No, we call it comprehensive. But I don't know if you call it primary school, the one before high school. That's all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah,
that's happy. It's all your little kids. Then you go to comp and it's like you're in a whole new food chain. And you say people can be horrible. So it's almost like, and then you go again. Then you go from comprehensive school. You go to the real world, and there's another big difference. So you always have to adapt to your surroundings. But I think 90% of the time, if you have a problem in your life, I think the answer is going to be work harder and solve it. Whether it's bullying, whether it's work, whether it's anything. I don't think you're ever going to regret looking back and working harder on yourself, are you? So.
No, not at all. And I think, to be honest, it's one of my big bugbears with school system generally in Wales and the UK. It's like, I feel like sometimes we don't prepare kids for the real world. No. We teach them a lot of stuff which they never use again.
I can calculate the angle of a triangle, but I can't pay taxes.
Exactly that. And it's all sorts of stuff like that, isn't it? Taxes, and like some kids, especially if they've lived at home until they're like early 20s or they've gone to uni or something, so they've never lived away, they've gone to uni in a local place, they've lived at home, and then suddenly they move out and they're responsible for all their own bills and all their own money, and they don't know what
to do with.
And 12 months later they're in thousands and thousands of pounds worth of debt because they don't know how to manage it. But that would be more useful to me than just teaching, like you say, algebra or some shit, which some people might use, but
I never used it. I didn't use it in school. I was never big on school, but it's like I say, it's down to certain people. Certain people, if they want to go and be a doctor, they want to go and be a farm. Like one of my best friends is training for pharmacy right now. Yeah. So at school and the education system obviously benefited him. But me, I wanted to box. So what the hell was school going to do to benefit me? You know?
Unless you're my 14-year-old son who absolutely hates school. You have to go to school and you have to do all your work and you have to behave and do it all. He just because even at 14 he's like they're teaching me stuff I'm gonna go out of school in 2 years time or 4 years time and I'm not gonna use it again.
I couldn't tell you 95% of the stuff from school. I was never the smartest. I was never the smartest in school. I just remember something funny. My science teacher, her name was Miss Trahan Morgan, and we were writing the name on the book. And it's stupid I remember this, but she went writing the name in the book. She went, my name is Miss Trahan -Morgan. Right. This is going to tell you enough about me, Simon. I actually wrote hyphen. I read Miss Trahan. I wrote hyphen and then put Morgan. But I've never. Everyone's different. I've never been academical. I missed a lot of school because I was in the national team for boxing. I had to get removed from. I missed a lot of school to travel abroad all over Europe. So I was never going to be in school anyway. But
even so, like it's still if you weren't doing that and you're not academic, it's a struggle for kids.
It is a struggle. The only I wasn't in school because I knew what I wanted to do. Some people don't go to school just because they don't want to go to school, but they still don't know what they want to do with their life. Yeah. So I think that can be dangerous. But I think if you're not doing it because you're pursuing your dream, I think it's a bit different.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and like you say, you knew what you wanted to do, and also you we're good at it.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Well, yeah. We're doing it and we're good at it. But no, it was the teachers would always say to me, like, Brand, what are you going to do if boxing not work out? I was like, it's going to work out.
Yeah.
They're like, oh no, it might not work out. And I'm like, it's going to work out and I'm fine. So, you know,
So with that, like with all the kids who was horrible to you and stuff like that, did they kind of leave you alone gradually as you sort of lost a bit of weight and doing a bit more boxing and stuff like that, or was it pretty brutal all the way through?
Well, it kind of changed, to be honest, because I went through a phase when I wasn't really bullied. It was more when I just joined comprehensive school. It wasn't even from my friends, it was from people outside of school, believe it or not. And then it happened a little bit in school, but it was more outside of school. And then about year 8, it stopped. But then I started boxing, and people heard I started boxing, and that like reignited the flame then, because they thought, look at him, fat kid, he's boxing now. And then it started all over again. There was people coming up to me, Brian, do you want to spar? And they were trying to fight me because they thought, and it started all again. And I could have very easily quit at that point, because there was a point when I thought to myself, oh my God. I was like, it's happening again now, because I want to box. Then what happened was I started almost distance myself from school and focus, like I said earlier, focusing on myself. So it kind of calmed down a little bit, and now I am where I am. I don't even know where half the people who bullied me are now. But it was like a two-phase attack. Started first thought was just from being fat, and the second one was it was more for just starting boxing. I was a little fat kid. I didn't exactly fit what the usual boxer looked like. You know, course, I wasn't muscly and had tattoos on me. I was a short, fat kid, and so that I didn't exactly fit in. But I'm used to it now. I truly believe that's why I can do all the crazy shit that I do now, is because of that. Because I flew to Ireland on Saturday to see Eddie Hearns. Okay. On this, they were doing a 5k run, so I like to do silly stuff. So I dressed up as Forrest Gump. Mm-hmm. Do you know, with the beard, the Bubba Gump hat? I dressed up like that. And I was standing there, getting ready to go into the run, and there's 200 people around me, and they're all looking at me and they're laughing. But I'm fine with that, because two reasons. Number one, I'm used to it. I've been laughed at my whole life. But number two is because they're laughing because I'm trying to put a smile on people's faces. That's what I want to do. The first priority for me will always be win. I will do anything it takes in order to win. But the second one is I want to put a smile on people's faces. Professional boxing tickets, they're not exactly cheap. They don't know, and money doesn't grow on trees. So I think the average price for a ticket called £60. That's a lot of money for just someone to come and watch me. So I feel the least that I can do is give them this show and give them their money's worth. I want to put a smile on their face. I want them to leave there thinking, do you know what, I enjoyed that night. That was good. I'm not doing it to make money. I don't make any money on my fights. I discount kids under 13, because I know, like I said, £6 for them is a lot of money. So I discount any children half price. I pay for the bus to get to and from the venue, costs like £700, and I spend all my money then trying to help, like, my career, call it. I don't make no money, but I don't need money, and I don't want money. It's not about money for me. It's about getting my dream, proving people wrong, and proving my old self wrong, proving my new self that I'm right, that I can do it. So I people say about making money. Everyone's different, I suppose, but I don't think if you want to make money, you should go into boxing, because it's a lonely place. You know, when you're tired and you get beat up on the ropes. If it was for money, I think you could think to yourself, I can make money somewhere else. But I don't know. I'm not doing it for money, so I truly believe that that's putting me in a better advantage.
And the thing is, like, with boxing, and like sport particularly, is like, money will come anyway if you're successful. Yeah. And I think if you're too focused on money early on, you get distracted by it when you get that first big paycheck or that big event or whatever. You get distracted by it, and like like I said, I've spoken to a few fighters, and like I've spoken to Paddy the Baddest a few times, and he the first time I think it was the first time, might have been the second time he came on, but when he came in, he was like, he said like he was 19 and he won the Cage Warriors featherweight title and all that, and he was like the next big thing. But he would go out in Liverpool and he'd have like loads of people with him, and then when he had his first loss and kind of things went bad for a bit, they all kind of just disappear. Yeah. But when you're successful, they're all with their hands out and that, and I think, like, I look back to when I was like 18, 19, and I think I would struggle just from a maturity level in terms of how to cope with that.
Yeah.
But like people like yourself and Paddy and people who's got a different mindset, and I think a lot of that probably comes from boxing and martial arts and the people which train you. Like you've got people like Gav Reese and that, like they're going to guide you through difficult times as well.
Gavin's more my friend than my trainer.
Yeah.
You know, me and Gavin always take the piss out of each other, but we're friends, and he just happens to be one of the best in the world of boxing. So it's like you know, it's an added bonus. Yeah. Like you said, you know, people. I'm not doing this for fame. I'm not doing it for money. I'm doing it because one, I am good at it, and two, it's my dream. I honestly, I know I'm 19, and you might think, shut up, Brand, you don't know what you're talking about. But I would die for this because it's my life, and if I have to go to hell and back, I don't care how many times I got to go. I torture my body and my mind on a daily basis. You said about speaking with Paddy just then about people coming to support you. There's a lot of I don't want to say fake people, but like people who wouldn't support me anymore if I lost.
Yeah.
Now, the heavy majority of my ticket sales, I'll call them, they're all from my local village and my local community, and I truly believe that they'd be with me they're like my ride or die. You know, I think they'd be with me whether I won or I lost. I think they're there. Number one, they love a drink. Then it's an excuse for them to go out and have a drink. And number two, I truly believe they want me to do well. So I think you should be very careful, especially at a young age when you're trying to succeed. I think you should be very careful who you put around you. I'm very, very particular, and I pick very carefully who I have around me. I have a very small circle of friends. I don't have a girlfriend. I just have my family, and I have a very few small circle of friends. But only people who want to do well themselves. I haven't got any friends who just live for the weekend and want to go out on the drink. I do. I'm like friendly with them, but my circle, like my friendship group, is my family and a handful of people who are trying to do well themselves. Because I truly believe if you surround yourself with 5 idiots, you're going to be the 6th idiot. Yeah, you know, if you try and help 5 people doing well, you're going to be the 6th person doing well. So I think you should be very careful with who you put around you, and if they want you to do well or not. So. You know, you're. I was about to say older. No, you're older. You're wiser. You'd have understood it. And I do stupid things, granted, but I think I'm quite mature in my ways like that.
I can tell just from like 10, 15 minutes of speaking to you, like straight away. Like I was just thinking then when you were talking, I was thinking a lot of the stuff which you're saying is the stuff how I think now. Like I got quite a small circle of friends. I'm trying to build something. So I'm not really interested in like going out and stuff and doing all those things. But it's taken me 20 years to realise it.
I'm like Benjamin Button. I'm young, but I'm old.
And then when you're about 80, you'll be going out every weekend getting pissed up and that.
Well, exactly. Well,
that's when you can do it.
Well, you think, people say, you should have fun when you're young, let it out of your system.
No,
because people say to me, how do you ever sleep? How do you do all this stuff? Because I'm young, I can get away with it. I haven't got time to sleep. I'm too focused on building myself. There's no age limit on going to a beach and getting drunk with your friends. There is no policeman waiting on a beach going, sorry sir, you're too old to come here. But there is an age limit on boxing prime. I will be too old to chase my dream one day. One day it will be too late for me to go pursue my dream. But I will never be too old to have fun.
100%, mate. And that's the thing. Like I said, like me and my missus, we've been married nearly 20 years now, and been together longer. And our youngest is 14. As soon as he's doing his thing, we're going traveling the world, and we're going to do all the things which we could have done when we were younger. But we had kids, and we wanted to do it because we wanted to have kids young, so that we could do stuff physically with them. Before I had a walking stick, man.
I was going to say, you got a walking stick, now you want to know.
Before that was the plan. But generally, just do all that sort of stuff. And then also, so that when they were old enough and they want to go and do their own shit, we could just go and do our thing, but still be young enough to do it. Yeah. And I can't wait, mate. I'm like, not that I want him to particularly...
Get out of the house, go! We got stuff to do!
I've got places to see, people to see. It's funny though, right? Because you're just saying you've got a small circle, and you haven't really got those kind of live for the weekend idiots, which means technically you just clarified that Jack, who's sat behind the camera, but is not an idiot.
No, Jack Collier, he's he sat there with a broken leg because we are. I said I'm mature, but we are very childish. My circle, we're very childish as well. We went to a trampoline park yesterday, and we're jumping around, and Jack somehow breaks his foot, so he's in a massive cast with there. By truth, like I said, Jack's in my circle, but Jack wants to do well. Jack's going to do well, so that's why I'm more than happy to have him around me. You know, me and Jack are always together. So I truly believe he's around me, I will benefit him. My mindset will benefit him, like his mindset will benefit me. It's an added on. You have to.
There's people who drive you on, isn't it?
Yeah, people that drive you on, and also you get something out of it as well. Like there has to be a mutual kind of getting something out of it. Like, let's face facts, you wouldn't have had me on this podcast if I wasn't a professional boxer, and I wouldn't have came on this podcast if I didn't think, I wouldn't have drove from Swansea to come on this podcast if I didn't think it would help boost myself. Even though me and you could get along really well, Simon, there has to be a benefit. There has to be something involved, doesn't there?
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just.
Otherwise, it's two people talking in front of a camera that no one's going to see. Like, what's that? I dressed well for this. What's that?
Sweating in the sauna of a room.
Oh, it's warm in here, isn't it? Jesus Christ.
I told you, it's a warm room. So obviously you mentioned, like, you've got tourettes and that.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know how much you want to talk about it or not. Like, I'm sort of quite interested in it because I feel like the stigmas around tourettes have changed a lot in recent years. Or certainly compared to what it was when I was like younger and stuff like that. Like, it was when I was growing up in like the sort of 90s, 80s, like a couple of the kids who sort of had tourettes and stuff like that, it was brutal for them because kids were just relentless. Like, that's never really been my kind of thing. Like, even when I was a teenager, to like be horrible to people, I kind of get on with people anyway. But like, seeing some of the stuff which those kids have to go through was, like, even thinking back, like, it was really hard. Like, what was that like? Or how old were you when you sort of found out?
Well, it's a weird one here because I didn't always have Tourette's.
All right,
it's run in my family, but like it's more tics in my family. I've got it the worst I've got it the worst by far in my family. But up until about 8, I didn't have it. I had a really bad stutter.
Okay.
I had a really bad stutter, like to the point where my mum would cry over it. It was horrible. And it was literally, Simon, I mean this, I woke up one day and I didn't have a stutter anymore. It was gone. It was like, but then I started twitching. I started twitching all of a sudden, like that. And then it kind of left from there. But my tics change. I make little noises sometimes. I make little, tics like that. And one big set off of it is light, like a bright, like that lamp right now is driving me insane. Right? It's like, I'm like a moth. I'm attracted to light. But no, it's I've learned to live with it. My mother's still always trying to give me things like, Brian, this CBD oil might calm it down. Yeah. I'm like, Mum, I don't care. I've learned to grow with it. And I actually think you said about times have changed. I don't know if it's because I'm boxing and I have a story of almost like an underdog trying to make it, but it almost like it plays well to me now. Like people, it adds to it. You go, Bram boy, you're doing well. So I think that might add to it. But honestly, you learn to live with it. It's like I can't remember what my life was like before, and I forget I have it sometimes. But it changes. It's like it's got a mind of its own. Well, it does. Certain things I do, and I don't tick, or it changes. So like I said, I'll be sitting here, I'll make a little noise, I'll go, or I'll do a twitch. But if I have my phone in my hand here, the tick goes, and I do this.
Oh, that would.
Do you know the amount of times I've smashed my phone?
I was gonna say.
It's. I'm walking around, but I'm running's the worst. I'm running, phone in my hand. I'll go. And it's like, I'm like, bro, what are you doing? And I drop my phone. I'm like, no.
Oh, mate, I would never jog across a bridge ever because my phone would be gone.
And I have a read. I'm like, no, Brian, don't take that, Brian. Don't take. Breathe, calm down. I obviously haven't got it. You know, but it's like you haven't got to do it. Like, I can hold it back, but it's like it's almost like an itch. You have a really bad itch somewhere, and you're like this. Just trying not to itch, and it's like. You're like that, trying not to. And it just keeps getting worse and worse. And it's like when you do tick or you let the itch out, it's like massive like relief. So I just tick. I don't care what people think of me. If they don't like me, they don't like me. I'm happy in my life. I got a loving family who support me. I got great friends around me. I feel I've got everything about a person could want right now. Obviously, what I would want, what you would want could maybe be different because we're in different directions in life.
But what you need, isn't it? Is
exactly for where I am now. I've got the perfect team around me. I'm in a good place right now. I'm in a great frame of mind, so I've got nothing to complain about. If anything, I find it funny. Sometimes I'll tick, or like I'll throw my phone up and drop it on the floor. And it is funny, yeah. I'm aware of that, so everyone will laugh, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, fair enough. But I don't. I love it. I played yesterday. Saturday, sorry, I flew to Ireland dressed as Forrest Gump. Yesterday, I played Spider-Man at a child's birthday party.
I've seen that
on
Facebook.
Yeah, yesterday I was Forrest Gump. Today I was Spider-Man. Dan, my friend Dan.
Living a dream, mate. That is.
Yeah, they keep trying to pay me. I'm like, you want to pay me for dressing up as Spider-Man? Are you mental? But no, my friend Dan comes to my fight. He said, I couldn't find a Spider-Man, and they were like 150 quid. I was like, oh, I'll do it. I have a Spider-Man suit in my house, like genuinely. I have a Spider-Man suit in my house because I'm a massive nerd. So I put that on, and I did it for him. I don't want money. It's just I'm helping out my friends. I'm doing it. He comes to my fights. I'm like, no, like I said earlier, there's a return. Of course, I will play Spider-Man for you. So if any of you, thinking about, coming to my fights, think there's something in it for you, you come to my fight. I'll play Spider-Man at your child's or your brother, your friend's birthday party. Bang, win-win.
Job done. See Spider-Man and the fight in one night.
Well, that's what I said earlier. I don't fit the general narrative, but it's working,
Yeah, 100%. That's what I was going to say to you. Like, you're not like the stereotypical boxer.
No.
Like, you describe yourself as a bit of a nerd. You're not, like, you're quite outgoing and you're quite, you'll have a laugh and joke at your own expense as much as anything else. And, like, has there been any pushback as you've kind of gone further into the boxing world? Has anyone ever tried to sort of change you in any way? So, for instance, when I was like, must have been 15, 16, I was playing for like Glamorgan in cricket or whatever, and like county level. But I was a bit of a wild teenager, like, so at that point, I think I had like orange, like fire-coloured hair.
Nice.
And I turned up to play a game, and they were like, the coach kind of pulled me aside before they were warming up, and they was like, oh, it's not how we do things here. But I was like, all right, I won't come then.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't interested in changing at that point. Whereas I could, like, looking back on it, I sort of understand it to a certain extent. But then I was also like, 16. Like, it doesn't matter what colour my hair is.
No,
really.
it doesn't really matter. That's my mindset. It's like, does it really matter? I've had people say to me, like, I've done an interview and I've said something stupid. And I've had people say to me, like, Brad, you shouldn't have said that. And I'm like, oh, I'll either go granted or I'll go, no, I'm saying that. We want about. So I'm aware, you have to be careful what you say, especially in these days. You have to be careful what you say. To come back to hunt me. But, no, I
have people trolling for your tweets from when you were like 5, 6 years ago.
Yeah, 5, 6 years ago. Oh, he said this. Sorry. But no, all my life, I've had bad things like that. Like, after I won the British Championships, what happened with like I said, starting the origin story of the bullying. It went from bullying to kind of I was doing okay, but people didn't really like know me. I was in a very stagnant, average place for a boxer. I won the Welsh Championships, it was good, but I won the British Championships, and then I think that's the point when I started to see jealousy come into my life, because it's like, loads of people want to see you do well, but very few want to see you do better than them. That's when the tables start to turn. It goes from them trying to support you to them going, oh, they turn bitter. So I won the British Championships, and I started having like little digs off people. And I was like, okay, I was only 15 at this point, and I actually had grown men sending in letters to WABA, my organisation for the amateur boxing, saying that I was paying judges. I actually had that. I actually had a grown man send in a report that I was paying judges at 15 years old.
Not many 15-year-olds have got enough money to do out of it.
Well, no, that's exactly my point. But at the same time,
there's a heavy paper around.
Exactly. I was hardly Floyd Mayweather walking around going, "Hey, let me win!" Like, do you know what I mean? But I think that was my first taste of the world being cruel, not the like in the boxing world.
Yeah.
But I like the saying, jealousy's earned. No one's going to be jealous of, like, no one's going to be bitter and jealous of if you haven't got something they deep down desire. So I think that was my first taste of it. And then another one is, I was going, I've done all this crazy shit in my professional boxing career, all, all my career so far. First fight I walked out was Darth Vader. Second fight I was Darth Vader with a lightsaber. Third fight I was Karate Kid, flipped over the ring, and I've always done it. But when I went on the Matchroom show, my first Matchroom show, I blew up a little bit. I had over 1 million views. I'm not saying that to brag, but it was like I was in the public eye then, and I had, with certain things I had very mixed reviews. Like it was, I did a Spider-Man thing, I open workout. I like to be different, so you know, what's different, nerdy falls into my bang. Someone got the idea, Spider-Man, boom. So I did the Spider-Man open workout, and that was the start of it. That was like almost like, who the hell's this kid? And there was a 50-50 reaction. I said there was some people going, what a legend. Understanding it's tongue in cheek. It's not meant to be.
Yeah, it's not like
and then there was the other half. Then let's call them the very die-hard strict boxing fan, dickhead as I like to know them. They were going, what an asshole! Oh, look at him how cocky. You know, he thinks he's it. I'm like, you're saying I think I'm cool, or I think I'm something, because I dressed up in a Spider-Man suit. Yeah. I'm hardly going for the cool approach here, mate. Like. And then I had the press conference, which had like over 500,000 views. I always say stupid stuff when the camera's on me like that. It's like almost verbal diarrhea. And between that, the weigh-in when I was Superman, and then the public workout, the fight itself, I had a lot, because that was my first time in the public eye. Yeah. I had a lot of hate. I did. For my first time in my whole boxing career, I had a lot of hate. But I truly believe that all the years building up to it helped me deal with it, because I'm used to people making fun of me. I'm used to people sending notes. I'm used to it all. And you know, a lot of people saying, "Oh, it's all staged," and I'm like, well, I get what you're saying. It can look staged, but I just want to put a smile on people's faces. I'll be honest, I did have a couple of, I don't even know how many interviews I did. I did have a few jokes in the back of my mind I thought I'd crack, but it's me. You'll learn. I mean, I've got tattoos here. I've got a Star Wars tattoo there over boom boom. Do you think that's staged? I've literally engraved myself in being a nerd. I'm not hiding my personality. Yeah. So it's like, you know, whether people love me or hate me, I can look at myself and be happy in myself. That's the main thing, because I'm not putting on an act. I'm being me. I'll be the same whether I'm in an interview with you, a podcast with you, whether I'm in a toy shop, whether I'm doing anything. I will always be the same, and I can take a lot of pride in that, because a lot of people, especially boxers, I know them as one way, and then they'll go in front of a camera and it's almost like that, because they're trying to play it safe. They're trying to be like, so I'm looking forward to my next fight, and they're being very bland and plain, because they know you can't hate that, but you can't love it either. It's a difficult
thing in the world where it is now, because like you say one wrong thing, not even a wrong thing, just something which is slightly off kilter, and people want your job, your career, your everything.
They want your head on a stick.
Yeah, and like I think particularly for athletes who are quite like, you know, being a professional athlete, you tend to come through sort of 18 to early 20s, so you're quite young anyway.
Yeah.
It's difficult, isn't it? If you're not used to being on camera and stuff like that as well, especially like your first couple of times. I love it. I do. I think one of my favourite things about since I started doing podcasts a couple of years ago, is I've got to speak to fighters and boxers and film people, and you know, all just these different people. But the thing I really enjoyed is when we're speaking to footballers, you see like a completely different side to them.
Yeah.
Because if you see them on like Match of the Day or Sky or whatever, like it's just same old shit, innit? Same old questions, same old answers. And you could put Sky on, and on a Saturday night, Sky, BBC, whatever, BT, and see the same person saying the same things to 3 different people. Yeah. It's like, that's just mind-numbingly boring.
It's almost like you copy and pasting yourself around.
Exactly that.
But it's like people, like you said about seeing the completely different side of the footballers. I'm not like that, cause I'm not political. I'm not politically pushed in any way.
Yeah.
But I'm just what I am. Like I said, I'm the same in front of a camera. I don't care if a camera's on me. I don't care if there's no camera on me. I'll be the same. So I've had people say to me, they say, "Oh, I feel like I know you." They say, "Oh, I feel like I'm just talking. I'm watching you." And I'm like, "Well, you are. I'm me. And why would I change just because I'm in a different environment, or, you know?"
But then there's people go the other way, like you mentioned, the boxers who become maybe a bit more like self-contained, should we say?
Yeah.
But then there's also the people who are quite quiet and reserved in their day-to-day life, But then when you put a camera in front of them,
they just know.
They're lunatics and they know how to do it and they know how to play up and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I think for you, it's not saying it's easy, but it's easier in terms of being in front of a camera when you've got to do all your media stuff.
Well, yeah.
Because if you're just you all the time, you're not having to
Not
think
having
too
to
much
fake
about
it.
it. Yeah.
But like, there are times where I'm like,
You've got to turn it up a bit.
I have to. There's like loads of cameras on me in a certain area, or I know I'm going to a big event, so I know I'll have to. Like the Spider-Man thing, as much as I love doing it, and as much as I loved, being a nerd and showing myself, that there was a fair part of me that knew I had to do that to get Eddie Hearns' attention.
Yeah.
And he actually said in a podcast, it's hard because I've got all these fighters want to get my attention, he said. And all of a sudden, this crazy kid dressed up as Spider-Man flips over the rope and starts breakdancing in the ring. And he said, I'm immediately thinking, who's this kid? But that's exactly right, I planned. But I'm not doing it out of nowhere. I'm a nerd. It plays into me. But I also understand that boxing, as much as it is a sport, it is a business as well. There's a reason my boxing's run by businessmen and not the athletes.
Yeah.
So I'm just thankful that I'm like, I've had loads of people say to me, oh, he's just trying to copy Jake Paul. I'm like, what? Shut up, you twat. Like, I've sacrificed my entire life. I've never once been to a house party. I've been clubbing after my fights, but at a house party, I have never once been to a house party because I was always in the gym in school. During school, I was always in the gym. I've sacrificed my teenage years to learn how to box. This, what I'm doing now, isn't no fake gimmick to get people's attention. It's me doing two things, understanding that you have to get people's attention, but you can't fake it and being me in the process of it. And that's why people saying it's not natural. I'm like, well, it is. You go in my bedroom and I have thousands of pounds worth of collectible toys, but I love it.
Yeah.
I got Star Wars tattoos, but I love it. I love being a nerd, and it falls into it helps bring attention to me because you need attention to you.
Yeah, and it's different from the I don't know, 9 of the boxers who stand next to you. They're all different, but you do stand out slightly more because there's not a great deal of nerds, or at least there's not a great deal of boxers who would describe themselves as nerds, and tell everyone about it. I bet you there's a few boxers who love a bit of Star Wars and Marvel and all the rest of it, but they just
I know for a fact there's boxers that like Star Wars, probably the same amount or more than me, but they're not doing it because they're thinking, I gotta be a boxer. I gotta stick to the general, the consensus or whatever of everyone being right. Okay, I've got to box, I've got to train, I've got to eat well. I've got to train, eat well, speak normal in front of a camera, and wait for my big opportunity. That's what a lot of boxers think. But I'm not most boxers. You mentioned Paddy the Baddie earlier. Do you think he would be anywhere as big as he is now if he didn't know how to be crazy?
Yeah.
He wouldn't be. Do you think Conor McGregor would be any much as big as he is now if he was just a normal athlete? Did the same thing he did now, but was just very shy, humble. Do you think he'd be as big as he is now?
No, how many fighters from MMA and boxing, if you look back over the years, just even like the last 10 years, who are the very, like, the most elite fighters in the world, but from a personality and a promotional point of view, it's like set in stone. It doesn't matter, does it? You've got to have something outside the ring as well.
Exactly, but
which catches people's attention.
You need them both.
Yeah,
you look at any historically great boxing icon, Muhammad Ali, amazing boxer, the GOAT. But he's famous for his quotes. He comes up with these quotes. He was saying, I'm so mean, I make medicine sick, and all that stuff. He comes up with, he was a genius. Floyd Mayweather, arguably the best boxer of all time, but he understood. He understood how he plays the bad guy. He goes down the way of love me or hate me, you're still watching me. I'm not doing that. I'm being me, and I'm thankful enough and lucky enough that being me kind of does fall into the people will want to watch you. Like on the Matchroom show, my last fight, it was big. DAZN Rom posting me. They got 1.5 million followers. Matchroom got nearly 1 million. They were posting me all the time, and there became this big thing because I was so under the radar for so long, no one knew who I was. It was a big thing of, can he fight? But can he fight? And I was thinking to myself, like, oh, you wait, that's the best part. And you have to be a hybrid to a degree. Like Floyd Mayweather, yes, he could talk up a good game, but if he couldn't fight, it becomes irrelevant.
No.
Me now, it's like, all right, cool. Yes, I can talk a good game. Yes, I can I can do all these crazy things, but I can fight as well.
Yeah, and I think that's when it comes down to it. It goes both ways, doesn't it? Like I just said about the elite fighters who can't promote themselves for whatever reason. It's the same as if you can promote yourself, that's great. But if you then get in the ring and you either get knocked out in a couple of rounds, or you just box for 12 and it's just the most boring.
The most boring thing
ever.
Yeah,
you just like scrape through by a controversial decision or whatever.
Yeah,
it's people won't tune in for the next one.
No, exactly.
But then, look at Floyd Mayweather. You mentioned Floyd, like obviously, arguably one of the best of all time, pound for pound as well. He's had this like amazing professional career, and even now, like he's got this sort of playing the bad guy thing, but he's still making like millions and millions of dollars fighting YouTubers because people still want to see him fight.
People still want to see him fight because there's so much of a noise around him, and like yes, he'll have some haters on Twitter saying, "Oh yeah, but he's fighting a nobody." Do you really think he cares when he's got more zeros in his bank account than, I don't know, he's making millions? Do you think he cares that Joe Average is tweeting bad about him online?
Yeah. So even like the kind of, like you mentioned earlier, like the sort of old school boxing fans, which, you know, I got a lot of time for a lot of them in some ways because the guy I produce a boxing podcast on a Sunday, and the guy who hosts it is like a full on like historical boxing nut, and he can't stand all the YouTube and stuff like that.
No.
But I think with Floyd, it's like he built himself to that level. And now it's just, at the end of the day, if people weren't still buying these fights, it's not for me, I gotta be honest. But like, if people weren't buying those fights, whether it's to go watch them or buying the pay-per-views, then he wouldn't be doing it. And and these companies, and they wouldn't still be paying it, and there wouldn't be a Misfits boxing or whatever it is, and all these different things.
I think what they've done that's genius is they've tapped into the general public of ticket. Boxers, like I said earlier, who are playing it normal, they're playing it safe. They're only going to attract boxing fans.
Yeah.
And you look at the boxing community is a great community, but it's probably a P. Size, comparison wise, it's a P. The general public is a big ass grapefruit. And all the Misfits have done, they can't fight, granted, but they're professional entertainers. Yeah. People want to watch them. It's their job to have people watching them. So they've tapped into there. And now people hate them for it, but boxers will hate them for it. But what the boxers don't seem to understand is money's money. Ticket sales are ticket sales, views are views. Do you think a promoter's going to look at a Misfit show and it does, I don't know, as 5 million views? Do you reckon that promoter's going to go, but 4.5 million of them weren't boxing fans?
Yeah.
I'm not going to think that.
Okay,
they know how to sell themselves. The average boxer doesn't know how to sell himself.
Yeah, and I think it's a weird thing, isn't it? Because obviously, like, you've grown up with social media and stuff. I didn't. So, like, when I was early 20s, 18, there was no social media. There was barely an internet. Or it certainly wasn't camera phones and shit like that. Like, you know. But, like, my kids have obviously grown up through it. But if you said to my kids, if I stood, like, KSI and, I don't know, some A-list Hollywood actor, if they haven't been in Marvel, they would recognise KSI more than they would recognise anyone else on the planet.
Exactly.
So, of course, if you're DAZN or whoever, like some promotional company, they're going to be like, well, yeah, I want to see him fight because he can bring in 5 million views and shitload of money and sell a shitload of tickets.
Yeah.
So,
it's just
a business thing, isn't it? Like, what are you going to do? You're going to promote whoever, KSI, Jake Paul, or are you going to promote some guy from London who's alright, but he's only going to do like a few thousand or a couple of 100,000, but he's a better boxer.
Yeah, it's like, and you have all these average boxers calling out Jake Paul and KSI. When I say average boxer, I don't mean average skill-wise. They can be very highly skilled, but I mean they're average in their terms of their revenue and how much publicity they bring. Do you really think someone like who makes so much money and so much views is going to... No, they know they'd lose to a normal boxer. That's why they don't fight normal boxers. Yeah. They want to fight other big names that would generate more revenue for them to make more money and get more views. That's all it is. It's a numbers game to them. Now, I couldn't care less if I had 10 views or 10 million views. I couldn't care. I don't care. I'm not... Everyone's different. I'm not a fan of social media.
No,
I think it's the devil. I think it's evil. And I think it's messed up the world a lot more than it's done good for it. I think it's the cause for 90% of the mental health problems that people have now. but I also understand that it's how I sell myself, and no one would know who I was if it wasn't for it. So it's kind of like like my phone. I think my phone's evil. I hate my phone, but I need it. You need it. You need it to push to it. You know, my dream one day is to get big enough so I can just hire someone as a mate. There's my details for all my socials. Take that, get it away from me.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do eventually, and just be happy. But it's the world's changing, isn't it? You think 2023. You think 10 years ago, phones were big, but they were massive, were they? Like there was the odd phone. Now
you
look
can
at
do everything, and like you can literally do everything, can you? And just on your phone.
You can do everything, and it's scary to think where are we going to be? Because every year we go, things are progressing faster. Technology is moving quicker. So where are we going to be in 20 years' time from now?
Yeah.
You think where it's like, my phone will be like a best buddy to me. You don't know what Terminator is coming. Put it that way.
It's going to be an episode of Black Mirror, mate.
Yeah.
It's going to be brutal. Flipping back a little bit to like your earlier days in boxing. What was just like when you first started boxing? Was it like you were naturally good at it, or did you have to kind of work at it for a bit before you discovered that?
Kind of both. I mean, going back to my football days, I wasn't actually a good goalkeeper.
Right.
But what I had was I had a lot of heart and I had a lot of ball. I wouldn't mind getting kicked in the face to get the ball. There were so many games I get my hands again stood on by togs, metal little togs, or a 12-year-old boy getting kicked in the face. But I didn't care. I was like, that ball's mine. Bang. And that transitioned over quite well into my boxing. I was just very aggressive. Typical, I was aggressive coming forward, but I had like a natural mean streak in me of wanting to come forward and be aggressive, and that's quite hard to get, especially for a beginner. You find they're a bit hesitant, and I wasn't like that. I was right, balls to the walls, full steam ahead, whoosh, I was in. So I wasn't exactly amazing on technique, but I had a natural fighting instinct in me, and I still got that now. But I've been boxing for like I don't know how many years I've been boxing, 8.5 years, and it's been very heavily focused on my technique. So it's why I've progressed so well. But when I started boxing, I didn't just, some people start boxing, they start going 3 days a week, they're doing it on and off. The day I started boxing, it was like, right, my life is now boxing. Since the day I started boxing, it's been my life.
Okay, so you fell in love with it straight away?
I did fall in love with it, yeah. I fell in love with it, and I still love it. I love it more than anything now, but there's times when I hate it. It's a love-hate kind of thing. But it was straight on. I was like, right, this is my life now. Brian, do you want to come out and party? I can't. Brian, do you want to come to this? I can't. I had to get good. First was I needed to lose weight. That was the first aim. Bang. I lost weight, brilliant. I thought, you know what? I've done it for so long.
How long did that take?
Yeah, it took about lose all fighting shape,
just till I don't know. You suppose till you fell.
Till I could take my top off without being ashamed. It took about, I'd say about half or 8 months, just a little less than a year.
Still a lot of hard work for a kid, isn't it?
It was a lot of hard work because I'm gluten intolerant as well. I was celiac back in the day, and I love pizza. Oh my God, do I like pizza.
I had a Domino's for today.
Oh, dick. But it messes my stomach up.
Yeah.
So I had to completely change my whole diet. I had to do so many different things. And for a 12-year-old boy, the discipline that I had to show to get all that, get all the weight off and stick to training at the same time, I was like, I've earned the things that are happening now. A lot of people don't know it, but it was a mental battle because I tortured my body, I tortured my mind, I did everything. It was a hard road, but it was all worth it in the end because that feeling I had when I won my first fight, I was like, yeah. That was when boxing went from a mission to lose weight, from a mission to be the best.
Okay.
It was an addictive feeling, not to sound big-headed, but it was an addictive feeling knowing that I just proved I'm better than that person there. In boxing, I was like, and that feeling of beating someone in a fight. I was like, yes, ha. But then I got addicted and I kept training hard. I trained harder, and then it's the same now. I train 6 days a week, twice a day. It's my life. So I've got nothing else to my life, but if people could understand how much I love it, and it's not just like I want it. Just thinking about it now, speaking to you, I have like an almost, irritating feeling in my stomach just thinking about it. Like it's a very it's like, it's like a fire. It's like a very aggressive, annoying. Like I need it. But I truly believe that that's why I'm going to get it. Because I want it more than anyone. I want it more than anyone. So.
And I guess like as your career progresses, though, that determination and that fire within you will be the difference when you come up against like those high quality fighters at the top level.
Yeah.
And you need to be skillful, but you also need to have that fire and that determination to have a swollen eye and a broken nose and keep going and grind it out. Like.
Well, yeah, you need it. I mean, my last 3 fights, I've had one hand. I've had my right hand, you can probably see the lump, but there now, I'm going to get it seen properly today. My last 3 fights, I've had one hand. But I shouldn't, my third fight, the first fight my hand was injured was stupid. I shouldn't have taken that third fight. That's a regret looking back. It's a lesson looking back. But my 4th fight, my hand was completely gone because I hurt it the week before my fight.
What have you done to it?
I don't know. I had an MRI last week and I'm going to find out later what's wrong with it. But it's been giving me havoc for a year. Because it's like, I can't, you see the big lump there?
Super swollen. Though.
Yeah, this is a calm down. My 4th fight, I literally had one. I couldn't even move on the pads. Like my hand's killing me. I can't do anything. So I had one hand. I won the fight on one hand. The only reason I took the fight was because I knew if I did well on that fight, I'd get the opportunity to box in the Matchroom show. And I understood that the Matchroom show and the platform they had is what I needed in order to get my career in a place where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
So I thought, right, do you know what? You're going to have to bite the bullet here. And then for the Matchroom show, I had no sparring for the fight. I had no contact on my hand. And I just prayed it wouldn't go in the fight. And for the first 2 rounds, it didn't go. And the 3rd round, it really went. And if you watch the fight back, you'll notice I had to kind of change my style. The first 2 rounds, I was really bouncy. I was just big 1-2s there. And then I hurt it in the 3rd round, start of the 3rd round. And I had to revert more counter-punching. I had to stay there. And I was a bit more behind my shoulder. I had to change. But that's in terms of boxing, that shows a lot of maturity for a 19-year-old boy. A lot of people would just panic and they'd be like, oh, no, my hand's gone. Yeah. What do I do? I was calm enough to think, right, okay, this is shit. Your hand's gone, but you've still got another one. You've got another hand, that works too. So I had to completely change up my game, and now I'm getting it fixed properly because, you know, I got a lot of good things coming now my way now, so I'm not going to waste it.
Yeah, you don't want to go in half injured or whatever.
Exactly, and I'm so young right now. And one of the biggest benefits to me turning pro so young is having time. And I feel like me constantly fighting with a bad hand and trying to rush it is kind of me not taking advantage.
Like, you're risking it as well, aren't you?
Yeah, it's pointless. I've got time. I've got so much time. You know, I haven't even had a 6-round fight yet. So 4 rounders. My next fight will be a 6-rounder. I wanted my last one to be a 6-rounder, but Matchroom show, they gave me a 4-rounder. I'm not going to argue. I'm like, yep, I have a slot. Thank you. You know, you have to be grateful for that. But no, I'm thinking a bit more logical now. You know, I've called out, like I said, I want to fight him. But I've calmed down now. People have told me, look, Brand, you need to calm down. So I've come to the conclusion that I need to move appropriately and not fast.
Yeah, I think that's sometimes if you go too fast, that's when little mistakes can happen, just silly mistakes which you wouldn't normally make on 6 days of the week. You wouldn't make them, and then just that one day, and then you get caught. Or whatever.
Exactly. So, you know, I'm
like you said, mate. You're young enough that you've got time to just kind of progress through it.
Well, I have. I've got time. You know, I'm known. I'm a cheeky little teenager. I've come to terms. That's what I am. I'm a cheeky little teenage boy. I'm not a man yet. So, you know, when it's the right move on the chessboard, I'll take it. But until then, I'm just happy learning. I'm progressing lovely right now. My debut, I made my pro debut June 11th it was. So call it just basically a year. A little under a year ago. I've progressed so much in that year. It's unreal. So sometimes I need to zoom out. I feel I need to zoom out a bit and think, right, Brand, if I'm having a bad week, you know, I'm like, I'm not feeling so good this week. Sometimes I live so much in the moment, I forget where I've came from. Yeah. It's like a very bad week for me now, in terms of boxing, is still better than what my best week was a year ago. You know, it's like a crypto chart. It's going like this. Yes, there's little ups and downs, but the general trajectory of it is going up. It's moving up. I'm moving in the right place. But I set such high expectations for myself and I know how good I am and what I'm capable of, but sometimes I forget I'm still a boy, and you can see I'm barely mature. I got a little few chin hairs growing, you know. I grew pubes last week, you know. You know, I'm not exactly very mature, so I need to slow down and let my man strength kick in. But the second it's the right move, me and my team know what's planned. Everything's gone to plan so far. I've set it in phases, and we're on phase 2 right now, getting ready to enter phase 3. So we're in a good place. We're moving appropriately. Everything. I got everything I could need around me. I've got no reason to complain. No reason not to be happy. Got great people like you inviting me onto great podcasts like this. So I'm in a very good place right now.
You know, you said about the adjustments you made in that last fight with your hand.
Yeah.
Did you make those adjustments, or did they come like a bit from the corner as well?
I made those adjustments.
And like you said, it's like the boxing, the fight IQ to be able to do that in the moment is something that so the guy I do the MMA podcast with is a former world champ, and he's like a coach now, and he talks so much about like fight IQ, and he said the need for boxers and MMA fighters to be able to adjust without being told by your corner. And he said too many guys, particularly he said like young guys, they'll wait, so they might have their hands busted up or whatever, or their eyes closing, and they need to make an adjustment, but they won't make it until
too late,
the end of the round, and then it can be too late, like you say, you get caught or whatever. Whereas, by the sounds of it, you made that yourself and adjusted.
Well, yeah, because I did it at the start of the 3rd round. I shattered my hand at the start of the 3rd round. I didn't. Gavin was giving me great advice on how to do it. He obviously did, but for that kind of 2 minutes 45 seconds, I didn't have corner advice.
No,
I had to get myself in a frame of mind when I could breathe and think. And the guy I fought, he had a big punch too, but I was aware he only had a big right hand and a big left hook. So I thought, right, just watch out for them now, win the round, and get back to the corner and breathe. So I stayed calm. I won the round comfortable. Probably one of my better rounds, actually, ironically. But you know, Gavin's advice in the corner was brilliant too. For me, Gavin's the best trainer in the world, and that's not even a big accusation to make, because Gavin was a world champion, meaning at one point he was the best in the world. Yeah. But everyone they say styles make fights. Well, I think that's the same with trainers. Like, I know there's some trainers who like to be a bit more bland. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want to be bland and it's not your personality, you want to stay a bit more quiet, that's completely fine. But Gavin's very wild. Like, would you believe it or not, if I told you in the gym, I'm the quiet one. I'm the quiet one. Difference is when there's cameras involved, they tone it down, I don't. Yeah. So it's like, I'm there, Gavin's there, cameras come on, Gavin goes to there, keeps himself to himself, I just stay here. So I seem crazy, but in the gym, I'm the quiet one. But Gavin is, I look forward to training. Yeah. I think that's
it's a bonus, that is.
That's one of the biggest bonuses I could think of in my life, is I look forward to training. There's obviously times when, like Gavin said, we have this run called the Murder Mile. Gavin says, right, we're doing Murder Mile tomorrow. I'm like, nah. But it's a love-hate kind of thing. It's a love-hate kind of thing, because I love training so much. I'd be lost without training. I'd be lost without boxing. I dread to think what I'm going to do when I can't do it anymore. Because if I stay the way I am now, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself.
Yeah. The thing is, it's like, I say to my kids a lot, like now, like 18, 16, 14, I say, if you can find something career-wise or job-wise that you enjoy, as long as it pays the bills, that's the main thing. Like, as long as you can pay, as long as you just, like, you can eat and pay your bills, then great. But if you can get a job which you genuinely enjoy, and you get up in the morning and it's not like, oh my god, I gotta go there now and whatever. So like, for you train twice a day. It's gonna be brutal some days. You're gonna be tired, you're gonna be maybe some aches and pains, whatever it may be. Stuff going on, life, innit? Especially as you get older and stuff. It's just life, it's just the way it is. But like, if you enjoy where you're going, makes it easier, doesn't it? Not easier, but easier to go to.
Well, because funny if you said that, I actually quit boxing at one point.
Oh, did you?
Just during COVID. Obviously, you know, all the gyms were closed, and I still trained very hard with nothing coming up for 2 years. It was very demotivating for me. But I actually quit boxing and started training MMA a little bit.
Okay.
And I know I said I've always had this fire in me. I did, but I was very young and immature at the time. I didn't know what I was feeling. So I actually stopped boxing, and I was going more down the MMA route. And one of my best friends in boxing, Mano Lee, if you ever heard of Mano, but he's like my brother from another mother. He made me go to Gavin's, and that's how I ended up with Gavin, because Mano was training with Gavin before me, and Mano made me go with Gavin, and it was like, I was like, oh. So I went to shut Mano up, if anything. I was like, right, okay, I'll go, Mano, just leave me alone now. And I went, and the first time I went, there was no feeling up process. I think I got kegged the first time I was in Gavin's, within the first 5 minutes. I think I was like, whoosh. So it was like I was with a bunch of friends. I was like, oh, I love this. And then after the first training session I had with Gavin, I had like a bug to go back.
Yeah.
So I had an option. I could go back, and I got messed around a lot in the amateurs as well, through political sides. I was very the bad end of a lot of things. The team didn't like me. But each to their own. So I decided to turn professional as a fresh start. So I went with Gavin, and I loved it. And I used to work 2 jobs. I used to be an apprentice plumber, and I used to work in a care home, and doing night shifts. And I was making good money, but I didn't love it.
Yeah.
I was just doing it because it was something. It was almost like, if someone asked me, "What do you think about your life now?" When I was doing all this, I'd have gone, "It's right, I make good money." I'd have been pretty mundane about it. I'm like, yes, it's good. You ask me what my life now, I beam. I love it. I love my life because I chased my dream. Gavin said he wanted to take me pro. I was like, brilliant. But he wanted to see me spar men first, because obviously I was only 18. I was only young. He said, I want to see you spar some men, just to see you could handle it, because it's a big difference going from boys to men.
Yeah, of course.
So I went to the gym. Gavin seen me spar. I did brilliant. He said, right, I'll take you pro. I went home and quit both my jobs that day. That same day I quit both my jobs, and I went full time with Gav. And now I rely on sponsors. My parents help me out financially sometimes, and thank God they do. I don't thank my parents enough, to be honest. They say they don't want it, but I should show some more appreciation and gratitude to my parents, because they probably have the biggest influence on me, especially my father. I wouldn't be where I wouldn't be where I was if it wasn't for Gavin, because he's helped take me to a new level. My old amateur coach, Spud, Stephen Brovia Premier, helped me get to Gavin, but the people who lifted me up from the floor were my parents and my family. So I feel I should show more gratitude to them, but they don't want it, but I'm lucky. So I guess that goes back to earlier I said about having great people around me. But yeah. I quit both my jobs. I went straight to Gav, and that's been my life since. It's just boxing.
How did your mum feel the first time you went to boxing classes? Because I know not all parents, not all mothers like it. I looking at my wife.
Yeah.
She was a bit thing about my boys doing it.
Yeah. Well, my mum, at first she didn't really mind, because I was a short little fat boy. She thought, he'll do that, get fed up with it in a week, and then he'd be back on the Xbox eating Doritos, just where I want him. But I did it for like a week. I was like, no, I can't wait to go back. And as time was going on, she was like, right, okay. She was getting a bit more nervous, and then I had my first fight. She was a nervous wreck. Do you know now, to this day, when I fight, my mother gets more nervous than me.
Yeah, I bet.
My mum's like there, shitting herself in the change room. I'm the one fighting. I'm like, Mum, calm down. It'll be fine. It'll be fine, Mum. But that's just a mother's.
Yeah, it's just one of them things, isn't it? It's like having to watch a kid get punched in the face.
Yeah,
or someone try and punch him.
It's not going to be nice, but it is what it is. She knows I love it, so.
Yeah, and I think they just want you to chase your dreams, I'd imagine, mate.
Yeah, they always say to me, they say, Brand, as long as you enjoy it, as long as you know it's what you want to do, I'm like, it's what I want to do. I don't think 85% of teenagers these days really know what they want to do. They're probably just in and out of things, still trying to find themselves. I found myself when I was 12. I found myself, and now I'm building on myself. So.
There's something to be said for that. Like, I think you're right. Like, there's kids who are like 18, 19 who are still trying to find themselves, or trying to find what they want to do with themselves, or they're not quite sure. Do they want to go to university? Do they want to go and do work? Do they want to do this? Like, it's hard. It is hard. So if you do know what you want to do and what your kind of dream is, and you have the ability to chase it, at that young age.
Yeah.
Go back to something you said earlier about like doing stuff while you're young and you're able to. There's so much to be said for that, not just in boxing, but like away from sport and stuff as well. It's like, I've been saying to my boys a lot recently, like, go and do what you want to do, like the next 10 years, 15 years, whatever. Build a life for yourself, build a career for yourself, whatever, do what you want to do, not what you need to do because you've got to pay rent and stuff. Live here till you got to, live here till you want to move out. And you're ready to move out. Don't just move out because you feel like it or you want to go and party or whatever. Like, do something and try and progress and do it while you're young, because once you hit 30, everything becomes a little bit harder.
Yeah.
And then 35 to 40, things just generally become harder because your body's tireder.
Yeah.
Whereas sort of 18 to 17 to like 30, you like in your peak to just
invincible.
do. Yeah.
I like Jack back there with a broken foot.
Jumping on airbags.
Yeah, jumping on airbags. Broke his foot on air. But no, yeah, I think it's never too late really to chase your dream.
No.
If you have for me it is, but for other people, if you want to create your own business, there's no deadline. But I just think.
Even so, I think it does become harder the older you get.
Yeah, the older you get.
It's harder to do them like early mornings, like 5 in the morning.
Especially you start to get a family, you start to get priorities.
Mm.
But you always get a general feel or consensus of where you should be. Like whenever I'm in a nightclub now, like after my fight, I only ever celebrate big occasions, but whenever I'm in a nightclub, I can feel, I'm like, I shouldn't be here. I'm like, I'm not meant to be here. It's an underlying feeling I have. I'm like, this isn't, I'm out of my environment. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like to be in a nightclub dancing because everyone else is. I like to be out in the road running in the rain because nobody else is.
Yeah.
I think that little shift in mindset is what gets me where I want to be. But I think a lot of people don't have that. Like I know some of my friends, they go to uni, they don't even know what they want to do. They go to the uni because they want to drink and they want to party. I don't want to do that. I want to succeed. I want to win. I want to be the best. And how can I expect to be the best and different to other people when I'm doing what other people are doing? That's the definition of insanity, isn't it? The actual definition of insanity is expecting a different outcome from doing the same thing. So why the hell would I do what they're doing if I want to be what they're doing?
Yeah.
The blueprint's out there. It's a harder said than done.
I think like even just to be a professional athlete, you give up those teenage nights out, the house parties, all the different things. That even just going out as like a 14, 15-year-old, like you have to go, if you play football, you've got to go training 3-4 times a week. You're boxing, you're doing boxing 3-4 times a week or whatever. As a kid, when all your mates are going out and hanging around and whatever, doing all the different things that kids do. Like I think people sometimes don't appreciate how much young athletes give up just to get a foot in the door, let alone to go and then push on and be a champion or whatever, reach the top level.
They only ever see the finished product.
No.
And it's like if someone gets like a big, and do you know, remember Andy Ruiz fighting Anthony Joshua? People saying Andy Ruiz was an overnight success. No, he wasn't.
Yeah, he'd been going years.
He'd been boxing since he was a little boy. It's just his moment and his opportunity came at that time. People are only now starting to hear of me because I kind of blew up in the Matchroom show. I've been doing this shit every day since I was 12. I'm not, every day I've sacrificed so much of my life to do this. So people, it's easy for people to look at you and judge you. But when it really comes down to it, it takes a special human being. You almost have to be a little bit insane to believe in something so much that you can't see,
100%. When were you a boxing fan before you started boxing? No,
I never really heard of boxing before I started it. I watched maybe one Rocky film, and I started boxing because I knew it was known to be hard, and it was known to, you see all these boxers, they're in great shape, especially, you know, stereotypical boxer, they've all got fucking a 35 pack with pecs out there. I was like, right, great body, that's what I want to do, I want to lose weight.
Yeah.
And I started it, and I realised very quickly that there was a lot more to it than just being in good shape. You know, it's more getting you got to get yourself. You got to condition your mind as much as your body. I learned that very soon. But before I started boxing, I couldn't have named you 2 boxers. But I became obsessed with it, and now I could name you every fight going back to like the 1950s down to Joe Frazier, Rocky Marciano, all the great fighters, Joe Lewis. I could name you them all because I've become obsessed with it.
Yeah. So did you once you were in it, you just watched just boxing all the time?
I just study it, boxing films, boxing documentaries, videos on boxers, like life's how their mindset is. Anything to do with boxing, I love. There's only 2 things I'm obsessed with, and that's boxing and the ocean. I'm obsessed with the ocean. Before I started boxing, I went to be a marine psychologist.
Okay. Marine biologist.
Yes, psychology in my hand. I'm a marine biologist. I always wanted to be a marine biologist because I love sharks. Jaws is my favourite film of all time. I love Jaws. I'm going to get a Jaws tattoo there one day. But the ocean, boxing, I'm obsessed with. But especially boxing because that's something I do every day. I'd go as far as saying it's an unhealthy obsession because I'm sitting in my room at night trying to go to sleep. I'm like, right, how could I do? So I'm going back and I'll watch it. I'm like, oh, I can't do this.
But you got to be obsessed to succeed.
You have to. Otherwise,
you can't half-ass it.
You can't, and you have to be relentless in your approach to it. To get signed by Eddie Hearns, I've been doing some crazy shit. I flew to Ireland to do a run. I didn't even watch the boxing. I flew to Ireland from Wales to do a run so Eddie Hearns could see me dressed as Forrest Gump just so I'd be fresh in his mind, and then I flew home. That's stupid, but I guarantee you that the stupid shit like that is what's going to get me where I need to be.
Yeah.
The fact that I'm willing to go a little bit further. So many people they can't get off their couch. They can't go that extra minute. They can't go that extra mile. But that's when I gain the advantage because I will. More than happy to.
What about so like you talked about your like your support system and your friends and all that, and your circle being small. What about inspirations outside of like your team and your friends and your family? Like, what sort of people do you sort of look up to?
There's obviously the certain idols I love, like my favourite boxer is Vasily Lomachenko. But I'm not trying to sound big-headed here, but I don't need I don't need an idol, someone to look up to, because I've done it all myself. Whenever I feel down, or I'm like, oh, I'm feeling demotivated, I'll just think where I've came from. I'm like, oh, this is no problem. The stuff I overcame, oh, this is easy. Because it is. A lot of the stuff I've been through, it's going to be very hard to top, and you know, the things I've got loads of things coming. I appreciate that, but I've also been through a lot. I've been through a lot more than the average boxer, especially only 19 years old. People see me and they see me being so giggly and they're happy, and I'm a very, very happy person. But I'm only very happy because I finally come at peace with myself, because I've been to war with myself so much. I mean, I was tormented, I was bullied, picked on, I've been beat up, you know, like in boxing now. But it's like, I'm used to it. I'm hardened up. I'm like, well, there's nothing that can hurt me now. I almost have a feeling of that. I'm like, I'm in a bad situation sometimes. I'm like, this is shit. But I zoom out and I'm like, can it really do that much damage to me after what I've been through?
Yeah.
So I don't really think I need any people to look up to, because I have myself to be proud of and look back at and think, you know what, I've done this, I can do that.
I like that. Then the thing is as well, is like you could have 10 good days, but you'll learn more from one bad day.
100%.
Like the bad times, it's weird, isn't it? Like, because like you said something towards the start of today about when we were talking about like high school and the bullying and stuff, is that you were glad that it happened. And on paper, people might be like, oh, why would you be glad you've been bullied? But actually, it's what makes you who you are, and it gives you that determination, it gives you that mental strength to then push on into other aspects of life, whether it's boxing or whatever.
And of course I'm not going to sit here and say bullying's good, because it's a very, 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 what's the word, like all over the place thing. You know, it can do two things to a person, and this is just me speaking honestly here now, and it's as horrible as it is. it can lead to suicide.
Of course it can, yeah.
It can obviously lead to mental health, which is a very general outcome. Or if you're up, you know, if you really look at yourself and think, right, okay, yes, I am, they are right, I'm fat, but that's fine. I won't be fat for long. But now look at me. Do you think they're looking at me now thinking I'm fat? I've got abs under this t-shirt. I could show you. No, I'm joking. I don't. No. But it's they couldn't do it now because I've changed my life. I made the best out of a bad situation.
Yeah. Any of the kids who was horrible to you ever contacted you since?
Yeah, from time to time. Like I said, I wasn't really picked on in school. I was more picked on out of school. Like I remember stupid things. I remember going to a pub with my bamper when I was about 11, 10 maybe, and this kid come up to me and he said to me, "Can I say something to you?" I was like, "What?" And he whispered in my ear. He just went, "You're fat." I was like, "Oh, thanks." And he ran off, and it was his older brother telling him to come and say something like that to me. Well, I guarantee you now, without having a big head, I'm in a better place than his brother is now. So you made me who I am. So thanks, mate. You know, it's down to the individual, whether you can sit back and you can feel sorry for yourself and you can say why you know the world needs to work around me, or you can just be honest with yourself and say, right, I need to change. I need to change, because people think the mind is the only thing that people think they can't control their mind. But if you really sit back and think about it, your mind is the only thing that you can really control. You can't have control over the weather. You can't have control over an accident or fate, but you can control how your mind works.
Yeah.
Or at least I can.
You can't control other people either.
You can't control
yourself,
other people's actions, but you can control yourself. You may. I've been depressed. Like, no, well, not depressed, but I've been like feeling really down and like feeling sorry for myself and like, but I didn't just sit there and moan. I did something about it, and now that's led to me being the happiest I've ever been. You know, people look at me and they think silly teenager, rightfully so. But I'm also very mature in my way, because I've had a hard road to get to where I am. You know, it's you. I'm speaking so like carefully about it because I know it can be such a bad thing. But I honestly mean, if it's happening to anyone or it's happening to you, you can do something about it. You can. You need to control your mind. It's not easy, because if it was easy, everyone would do it. But you can do it. Any human can do it. You know, what I'm doing now, I'm showing people it's okay to be different. It's okay to have disadvantages. It's okay to have a hard background. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday. It's what you do now that counts. Yesterday's the past. It's gone. Your past doesn't need you. Your future does. Mm-hmm. So it's about what you're going to do.
Yeah, I like it. I like that outlook on life. And I wish I look back like I wish I had that outlook when I was younger. But I listen to you and I listen to some of my kids as well, and they've got like a similar outlook on it. And it's like that's what you need. Is you need like a bit of mental strength to be able to push on. Yeah. A bit of determination to get where you want to get. Yeah. And then it's just down to you, and it's down to whether you choose to kind of go out and party or whatever, or whether you want to go and chase your dreams and achieve it, I suppose, isn't it?
You have to choose. You have to.
You can't. I don't think you're able to do both.
You can't.
I didn't think they might. I'm sure I'd be able to think of one job which you
have to sacrifice
and get the job.
Well, yeah, you know. There might be a job out there, but it comes at a sacrifice. You have to. You can't have two good things.
Nothing worthwhile is. I forgot what I was saying. This, but basically, you can't achieve what you want without sacrifice.
Everyone wants to go to heaven, but no one wants to die.
Yeah, there you go.
That's all you have to say. You know, you need the bad, you need the suffering in order to get, like they're saying, high risk, high reward. Well, there's a risk. A lot of people don't want to take the risk. I took plenty of risks in my life. They backfired, granted, but you learn from it.
Yeah.
You learn.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, like, you took a risk with your hands, like you mentioned with that fight, which you probably shouldn't have taken. It's a little bit of a risk. It could have backfired.
Could have very easily backfired, even down to, you know, the guy was nowhere near my level, but I could have hit my hand. I could have hit him in a place where my hand was fractured and I could have never boxed again. There's risk in everything you do. There's risk in everything. There's always, You walk to the shop, you have to accept the fact you are risk. There's a very small risk of you getting hit by a car.
Yeah.
But there's also you in a fight. The risk is a lot higher and a lot more clear. You know, and it's down. Then it comes down to you. What are you going to do? How are you going to react? How are you going to stay calm? Just breathe, stay calm, and you can move forward appropriately. But a lot of people kind of panicked in the situation that I've been in, but I didn't. I know that's why I'm going to succeed, because I have that mindset of I have to. There's no plan B. There's plan A, all the way through plan A. You know, it's what's going to happen. It's my destiny. I know it is, but I know it's going to happen.
I like it, mate. Just to finish off then, where would you like to be in 5 years from now? So what are we, 2023? Where would you like to be?
I want to be on a yacht for your money. No, I want to be in the best place that I can be. I want to be in the best place that I can be. You know, you don't know what's going to happen in life. You know, I know loads. I know people. I boxed this kid, this boy Frank Very in the amateurs. Amazing boxer, best person I've ever boxed. He's dead now. And as horrible as that is, God rest his soul, you don't know what's around the corner.
No.
So whatever's around the corner, I just want to be in the best possible position that I could be for that time.
Good shot, mate. So, obviously you haven't got any fights lined up at the moment, announced and stuff, because you've got to sort your hand out.
Yeah, I've got some stuff to see too, but I've already started planning, don't you worry.
Hopefully you'll get some good news with your hand, and they'll fix it up for you today. Appreciate it, mate. Nice.
Thank you very much for having me on, Simon.
I'll drop Brandon's social media because he loves it. Message him on social media more. He loves social media.
Yay, thanks guys.
No, I'll put all of it in the descriptions below and stuff, and give him a follow, innit?
Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, come on. They try, but they